Hello, it's Jules Taylor here, and diamond painting has been my latest venture with my wife, but there was a long time that I spent some time working on Lego. So what I wanted to show you, and I did a little prelude of this, that it was coming up, but there will be different dioramas, and that's where I love doing dioramas. Um, Especially with Star Wars, but we've done all kinds of things with Lego. So we've got Christmas Village and um, Lord of the Rings and Hobbit, and we've spread it around quite a bit. And then we've got like a little city, or maybe a couple of cities or whatever, some ships, all kinds of stuff. But this one here, I wanted to talk to you about because it was sort of a passion, especially with my son. Um, Growing up, one of the most influential movies was the trilogy that started Star Wars, and he just loved that. He wore out the tapes, as a matter of fact. And so, remembering back, um, just have a quick list of the Star Wars movies. So there's a lot right now. What's fun is there's a lot of um, stories we're getting that are kind of in between these different events, important events that happened in the movies. But we've got fill-ins that are coming in, and those are fantastic. Those are really good. Um, but it's all started with the A New Hope, 1977. That was the first big Star Wars movie, and think back, 1977. My wife and I were married in 74. 3 years after that, we're over 50 years married now. So, um, but we had a son, we had a daughter and a son, but the son especially was influenced by it, and he was born in 1992. And so when these came along, they were all out because the three episodes, 1977, and then episode The Empire Strikes Back was 1980, and then Return of the Jedi was 1983. So these movies had been already out there and being produced on VHS and everything. So this was cool. And like I said, he wore out those. But his favorite, which for many people is because it's the sort of the final victory. Everybody thought, well, that's it. Story's over. Of course, it's not. It still continues on. But this is why I picked this one first. I will cover some of the other areas, but I'm picking Return of the Jedi, which was produced in 1983, and I've done a diorama of that. I want to talk to you about dioramas and what you can do to reproduce these. I was fortunate that I just hit a time when I was able to accumulate some of this stuff, and uh, and it became a lot of fun to put it all together. And so, the Return of the Jedi. Getting back to that, well, there's a lot of stuff to talk about on that one, but I think what I want to gear on is what I've got accumulated, of course, is the main battle on Endor. And the battle on Endor, what's special about it is that if that didn't happen, the battle wasn't going to be won because, this, what they were trying to take out was a unit that basically protected or created a shield for what was the real difficult thing for everybody to deal with was the Death Star, because the Death Star was deadly. It had already shown it can destroy a planet. Now, that the first Death Star was destroyed in that first episode, so that was exciting when that all happened. But this is the second Death Star that they were constructing. So this base on Endor was very important to that whole Death Star being effective. So the that was where the battle was drawn to, because I think it was kind of like a game that was being played. Um, the Emperor thought, okay, let's draw the rebels to this place, giving them what they think is a big prize, and we'll hide, our ships and that in the distance behind Endor, and lo and behold, we will be there, and the attacks will begin, and we'll destroy the fleet, the rebel fleet, because they wanted to get the fleet, get them in one place, and destroy them. With the Death Star, that would have been easy because the Death Star already, the first time, it took out one of the big ships of the rebel army, and it only took one firing to be able to do it. But again, it was completely protected. So taking out this base was very, very important. So that's why this battle here is such an important battle. And I look in the whole, the Lego sets are enormous. There's just tons and tons of them. And but to do any diorama, it's always nice to have, the main Lego set. If Lego comes out with a big set that incorporates minifigs and lots of, things there, buildings, etc., what you want to do is get that and build your base from that. Now, that being said, it'd be very expensive because the set here that I started with um, came out in 2009. It was called the Battle of Endor, set number 8038. Just behind here, you can see the box. I can even bring the box out for you. There's the box. There's what it looked like. Okay, so that's a while back. The problem is with something like that is the cost goes up dramatically. This one had not a ton of pieces, but 890 pieces. At 890 pieces. Um, so that was the core to building this set. Now, it also had 12 minifigs, and that included Chewbacca, of course. He was in there. He had a prominent role. The Ewoks, there were some different Ewok characters. There was the Chief. There was Paplu. Um, Princess Leia, of course, was there, and Han Solo was there. Um, there were some rebel commandos. Okay, so that's on the rebel side, the good side. They were there. Um, R2D2 is there. Some scout troopers. That's these guys in white. Scout troopers. They were there. There's some of them there, a couple there. And Wicket, being another Ewok, he was there as well. And some of these have gone up quite a bit in value. Like Wicket, he's $22 now. That's the value that they show on Brick Economy for that. But my thought is if families ever want, you watch a movie and kids get excited and you kind of want to recreate it or let them play. The beautiful thing about Lego is you can actually play. You can bend these guys, you can move them around. It's just limitless things to do. Now, the way I look at these kind of things, if you don't have the core set, you have the ability to look at other ways to get the set. So, um, what I did on the computer, and I'm going to move something over here. Um, I went to this is Lego supported site, and it has so it's on my computer right now. This Lego supported site is really good. And I'm gonna see if I can I'll just zip this over a little bit just so you can see it a bit better. Eh, You'll you'll see. So I'm basically the Lego builder site, and there's also a way to get on there. You can just find an app for Lego Builder and download that app. But what it does is it gives you a search part where you can search all the Lego sets, and that's what this is here. And you just put in your number. So this would be number 8038. You put in that number here, and then you go, and it says, okay, here you are, view instructions. Now, so what you'd have here, what I got on the screen right now, you got the exact instructions, all the background information for this set and how to build it. So, you can scroll. It's got this one here had um, two here, bring it over for you. Two instruction booklets. Okay, there's one. And then in the instruction booklets, this copies it exactly. So online, you're able to see without spending the money on this, everything that I have here on these instructions. So this would show, all the different the builds that you do, and it's all there, eh? All the instructions. And it's going to look exactly like that. So I think that's one of the cool things with that is that at least they allowed that, and you know they didn't have to. They said, "No, we'll give it to you." See, there's a download button, and once you download it, it's going to download all these. And there you see the same picture as what I have, and then you just go through and scroll like that, and you're getting everything. Now, the reason I did that quickly is just to show you don't have the money and it's an old set. You can take a look at the inventory. They have that all the time on these. Take a look at the inventory, see what you got. Other people, what they could do, you can go partial. Some people sell the partial set. They say, well, I'm going to withhold the price of the minifigs, for example. Like I'll withhold the minifigs and I'll adjust the price. And that happens as well. If you go to Bricklink, wherever you are, North America, you can go to Bricklink and you can look at the closest site to you. So transportation costs or shipping costs aren't expensive. And you can look at the Bricklink buyers and sellers as well. And so there's a lot of sellers on there, and that's another way. And there's, as you know, eBay, uh, a whole array of places to buy. You even have local stores and online sites for getting parts and everything. Like there's Toy Pro is one of the bigger sites with all the parts of almost anything. I found when I didn't get it from Lego parts, I could go there and pretty well they would have it. But then the other thing is all these little stores and Bricklink stores, and so it's there for you if you want to try that. Now, so what I've done for myself is I just embellished it. You start with something basic. You say that's not enough. Um, Typically, when you're building something like this, you want to kind of have a good support. I didn't spend as much money on support on this one. I'll kind of show you that. So what I'll do is I'm going to turn the camera just down to the set, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about here. So let's just move that over a bit here. Get that in a good view for you. Okay. So, what I want to show you here is that when you're building big things, sometimes um, you you have to build a support for it. And in some other sharing that I do, if I get into my modulars, I do have lots of modulars too. I'll show you how those are built. But there used to be a way people used to say, well, this is the way it's got to be built. And there's multiple ways. That's the beauty of Lego. You can say, well, I don't need a structure that's like a full brick high. If I went half a brick, blah blah, I could still get a strong support. And especially for those modulars, it was a great thing for me to do that because we had to move multiple times, and we were moving these things fully. So it would have been very flimsy to do it any other way. Now, with these kind of things, it is such a big, wide thing that some people still do it. They'll build support, and for myself, for my some of these main ones, all I did is get the plates. Okay, so that's another thing that you get as a background. So for this scenery, green is great. So if you get green plates and then just lock them together, and you've got your base to start working on, eh? Buildings, you got the main generator building. This thing here, if you said, well, that doesn't look very complicated, you're right. It isn't that complicated. So if you go online and check that particular building and say, well, as a start, I'm going to build that because that's an important part of this whole battle. And so that's what I would suggest to do as well, is to look at something like that and look online. And I can assure you, you'd probably got a good chance of easily building something like that. So you've taken care of like the main building part. When it comes to trees, I've built a number of these trees outside of the set. So there's a whole bunch of ways to do trees. You can go online and there's tons and tons of tree ways. But what I liked here is the rough way. This is the one I picked. These are roughly made trees to show the full Lego. So it's not like rounded. It's sort of rounded, but not quite. Um, but it gives that feeling of the forest effect. I mean, if you really love that, there was a set that's even older than this. Hard to believe, but there was one, and it was the Ewok Village. So, oh no, I'm sorry, Ewok Village came after. Ewok Village was 2013 on my notes, it says. So, yeah, so it came a little bit later, and I guess people wanted to see more about the Ewoks and their village and everything. So that now it's quite a high value now for that set. It had quite a few minifigs in it, um, and that had about I think 17 minifigs. The piece count too was quite high because it was all a village part, so it was like these high trees. So what I had to do here is sort of generate that tree effect and get that. So I didn't feel I needed the Ewok village as an important part. Um, so that's sort of generally how I did it. And then like some of these things, like I just thought I gotta you know add this or add that. So like the sleds here, they're very very important. And I added some of those. Now they have these little battle packs. You can get these in these battle packs all the time. So that's just another thing to think about is can you get some of them in battle packs? Is there any other way that I can get some of these little minifigs and characters and stuff? These guys, these walkers, they come in all kinds of sets. So you can get those as well. It's not hard to get some of the various pieces. It's I think always the minifigs is the challenge. How do I get minifigs? That get pretty pricey. But again, you pay for what you get. You don't have to get the perfectly pristine. The Lego community is interesting that way. They'll often say, "Well, I got a pristine one. What's pristine? What isn't?" You got to really look carefully. Do you really want pristine? Do you need it? Can you get lower valued? And there are people that will bring in stuff for trade in or whatever, and you'll notice that pricing. Why is it varying? Well, it's usually because of those kind of things. Um, so if they're in pristine shape, they're going to cost more. But so this, what I've got here, I just want to show you a couple things. So you go beyond the battle and say, well, what else was in the Battle of Endor? And I had some interesting information about that. Again, I got to show you something that I found is really, really interesting. I should have started it first before I talked to you about all the rest of this stuff. Um, this book here is fantastic. DK, Battles That Changed the Galaxy. Okay, so, and I got that on Amazon. The beauty of that, the pictures are fantastic. But if you kind of look at these pictures, they're pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome pictures. But if you look, what it has here, it has the different battles. Okay. So you try to place where the heck are we in this whole thing, in these different battles, right? Now, as you know, um, these three movies that came first were in the latter part. So they're in the Galactic Civil War. Okay. You'll find the first three, you'll find a lot of the battles are over here in the Battles of the Republic. Okay. But this is the Galactic Civil War. I'll show you that a little closer. Okay. It's the Galactic Civil War. And within there, Scarif, Yavin, these have been picked up in different cases, but here's Hoth, okay, which is that's quite a famous one as well. I've got the Hoth, and there Endor is in here, so you got Hoth, Endor. So what's nice about this is it kind of places it. Where is this thing? There's so many battles and things going on, and then once you get to that page, so when I look up this one, Endor, I go to page 168. And again, the pictures are fantastic. There's some of the pictures, and it kind of dates it too. It shows a date. It says what the battle, even the battle results, what the outcome was. And in this case, the rebels won this. It was a victory. Um, but you got all these great highlights in here, eh? And the pictures are really, really good. So that's just so that you know I had a reference. And I love this reference because you could go all over the place. They've been making games. They Star Wars has gone so many directions, and um, even the films. I mean, you got sub films that are going. Like I just printed this out, but there's the Clone Wars fills in a lot of gaps if you go and look at it. And I did a lot. My son and I sat and watched the Clone Wars. We really did like that. That came back out in 2008, and it was really really good. But there's these other ones are starting to come in there and filling out different parts for you. So it's just never ending, right? That's what's fun with Star Wars. It just keeps going on and on and on. So Disney has taken it on and they keep adding to it. What I did here now, if you look at this, okay, look at this scenario here. What am I missing? Well, I'm missing the whole aerial assault and the Death Star, the whole works up there. What's going on up there? I'm missing all that. But I have some sets like this one is a critical part with Luke fighting his dad, hoping to change him over. So that's what the big battle was all about here, is to go on there and challenge him to change. Luke wanted his dad to come to the good side, but that was an interesting because he did at the end. That's a really nice piece there. That was from a 40th anniversary. That was produced 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi, celebrating its release. So it was 2023. The other thing too is you get stuff like the Executor. The Executor was a critical ship. Um, the Executor was a ship. Um, the cool thing about this ship, it's one of the famous ones because when the rebels took this ship out, guess what it crashed into? The Death Star. This headed straight into the Death Star and crashed right into it. It was basically the finalization of that Death Star. So it's a cool one too. And being the Empire, that was one of their key ships there. It's nice to have that one. The other thing is that they do all the time. So you can see this one here, it was a celebration of the 40th anniversary too. So you talk about dioramas. This is a diorama. It's a diorama that Lego made. Their dioramas are usually a lot smaller, and they cover, but that's kind of cool because that's following a chase. So you can sort of see the sleds going through there, and it's really fun when you see these chases. So, and then also this gave kind of a model of how Lego said, I think this is the way we're going to do our trees. So you may say, okay, well, I'll just make the scale bigger of that and go with it. So it's kind of, those are kind of the fun things where you get the extra little sets. You know, I mean, these things never end. There's also reissues that come out. You know, I've heard the Battlestar is going to go through some more, maybe another big one. Those are expensive. I've never got drawn to build one, but they're always something to think about anyway. If you ever want to do something like that, it's a pretty massive project to do and expensive, very expensive. Though when the new stuff comes out, it's cheaper, so you kind of hope that works its way to better pricing and everything. Um, so yeah, I thought it'd be important to tell you some of the story of the building and how you can start creating. And I think it's a great process for kids, especially if you see the movies and they get excited. And that's the way my son was. He got really excited and watched it over and over. And what better thing to let them kind of play through it? And you don't have to go this scale. You can. The other thing too is I did say, yeah, you can build a building by going online and looking at the way Lego built it. But if you get the general concept of it, go and look at their build and see if you can do it for cheaper and find the parts that you have that make it cheaper. So if you look at this build, it's the building here is the main thing. And the walker, you can get this walker in multiple sets. It's a very popular walker. And then you're talking about the sleds, which are in battle packs often. And like I said, the other things I throw in, of course, are the brush and the things like that. But getting the Ewoks and getting the rebels. You'll see there's more rebels here than what came in the set. So you're what you're doing is you're scrounging around and you're finding these different guys. Hey, here's another one. You add it into your set. So the rebel commandos, the rebel guys, I got lots of them, and so they give you one or two of each, and you just go and say, "Well, I want more of those." Like the scout trooper in this set, they gave you two scout troopers here, and I've added a whole bunch. But they come through battle packs and everything. So if you keep scouting around for that, you can get those. So I think I think that's about all I can share with you on that. I don't know what more I can say here. Um, I just hope that you can kind of enjoy the hobby and take up some of this and just go to Amazon too and get this book because everybody should have this. It's like a reference book for Star Wars, the Battles of the Galaxy. It's just really, really good because many people look at these battles and say, well, I'm mixed up. Where does this go into things? And what they're trying to do is they're filling gaps in here, gaps between the movies to explain how did we get here, how did we get there. So that's a kind of a nice thing to have as a background, and I highly recommend that book. And leave comments, and I'll answer comments and issues or whatever you want to talk about. But I highly recommend you look at it. And how do you get something like this going? Well, you start it somewhere. And this one, you start with the green plates. This is about perfect for me. I felt all the dioramas I've been building, for some reason, I said, this is the size that I'm going to have to build them. You've seen there's massive mocks. These are fantastic. They're displayed in Lego shows and everything. And those guys put tons of effort, tons of dollars, tons of hours, and those look phenomenal. I'm by no means there and don't want to be, but I want something that I'm happy with in the size that I can enjoy. So I hope that's been a little bit helpful. I'm going to do some more of these on some of the different sets and things that I have, and some more dioramas for you. So I just want to thank you for coming along on the journey. Okay, take care. Bye bye.